Okay. I was lost in listening to the music then. Schweinhorn, 59 months, man. Thank you very much. I really do appreciate that. That's it's crazy. Like 5 whole years. That's insane. It doesn't feel like 5 years that I've been doing this. It doesn't or longer actually, obviously, because they had to get to affiliate status, right? So but it just doesn't feel like 5 years at all has gone by since the beginning. So but I appreciate yeah, I appreciate it. Okay. So I am wanting to get on with some of this stuff. So what I've just done is I've just made some changes to get some messages in the detailed changes. Um, what I've decided to do is rather than try and refine the solution for the detailed changes, so we have changes and then changes.detail. So the reason this produces 5 and this produced 6 is because one of these was a new. It had never seen it before, so it produced it as a new, and then the so it the change details doesn't produce anything. Yeah. So out of 8 messages, 6 show why 6. Oh, because two. No, there should be at least the same number on the side. Yeah, that's a challenge for another day. For certain. To try and tie these up. Got to keep moving forward, get the pieces in. So the pipeline application is doing its job right now. I was talking through this with Mojo earlier on, and there's a lot more. There's a lot more to do here. So what I'm going to focus on is getting the view to show. So we're going to consume this. We're going to basically capture uh, capture these as objects, right? So the changes will just be a serialized object. Um, so the before and after. So I'm thinking we just serialize the array of changes out and then uh, consume it back. Okay, so let's stop everything running. We don't need everything running right now. So what's this table going to look like? We'll be looking, playing around with the Elasticsearch in a very large columns data set and finding the weak point of any reporting platform is that they don't like anything over 1,000 columns. 1,000 columns? Isn't that like hit of a 1,000 columns SQL database? And you're trying to play around with Elasticsearch to figure out if it can handle that. That's insane. Have fun. Cosmos fields to answers. We want to report on questions to the answer. Ah, gotcha. Makes sense. Hmm. So my class have 200 questions. They also have 5+ programs all with different questions, and they want to roll up reports. Oh dear. That doesn't sound fun, if I'm honest. I, I like that's why you are where you are, right? Because you're gonna figure that out some way or another, hopefully. Um, I relish those sorts of challenges, but yeah, the whole changes thing for me is that sort of thing. There's a whole lot of different things that can happen, but yeah, uh, we don't need to use the word entity there. That's completely redundant. Let's have an ID column. This is going to be a lot of records. I mean, if we get to 4 billion records, this is going kind of crazy. The CTO wants it all in Power BI, but Power BI are really and provider can handle this without super complex manual process to get the data into it. I can't visualize just having to play with that amount of data. Like, there's not even a way of pivoting that data in a different way to make it more flexible. No. 1K column in Power BI. It's one minute to even load it in a pivot table. Yeah. It'd be faster to break up the pieces into separate tables and load them in parallel. Yeah, you do better to parallelize that and load it all in from different sources at the same time, and then join them together. If you could partition them that way. Um, so that's the primary key. So this is going to be entity type, which we've created a value object of this earlier on. Right, all our clients need this. 400 clients. Yeah, yeah. Even if Elasticsearch takes that, it's still going to do some grinding. Now, are they right? So that are they picking the columns, or have you got to pull in like the 1,000 columns every single time? Like if you did partition it, let's say you partitioned it um, based upon column popularity, so you could get the data sets down in size and create some sort of key, so you'd understand any columns they requested were in which of index, so you could parallelize fewer or more. Because any system you're going to, if you're trying to pull 1,000 items of data out per record, it's going to come with great expense. Oh, but I'd be interested to know how you do with that one. That's not no. I think the quickest way to do this is by entity identifier. We are breaking our client to each index data set is just their data. Gotcha. So what I'm thinking is this is by testing of Elasticsearch has found that we can easily handle 2,200 columns and 12,000 rows in 10 milliseconds. Yeah, Elasticsearch is crushing that one. Is that without any sort of that's just single machine? Okay. So we're gonna have source user ID int not null. It's gonna have we're gonna trap the event ID. Just because then we can tie it up later with logging. Yep, data when compressed was like 30 meg. That's an extra column, extreme column count. Wow. I won't stop yawning, I promise. So we have that. We have good on date time. Oh, no. They're all should be close to 100K, but it's also paid, so you don't have to worry about returning all the data in a single request. Look at. Okay, so you've got a decent separation. Yeah. So you just got to figure out how to do it all in Elasticsearch. It's the backing data store. Oh. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to store this data as serialized, right? So we're going to do column data and varchar max. What is ncar and varchar max these days? Can I just use Power BI? Yeah. 2 GB of storage. If I use 2 GB of storage in the changes, then something went very desperately wrong with my change process. There's absolutely no way that's going to take that long. I'm not going to allow that to be null. I'm going to ignore new entities or I was just looking at those sizes recently. I was contemplating storing them as like yeah. Like the only way this is going to get more changes is if a bunch of changes happen and the changes system is offline. So you could get a couple of dozen changes, like, well, for every, you can only have one change per field, right? So even if it changed 3 times in between, you actually lose that history if it alters it that way. But I don't think you're going to care. Well, you might care, but figure it out later. I still think I'm going to end up trapping more history on changes than I expect. I think I'm probably best recording the events and processing the events independently of the actual. Like I think a lot of these pieces, these pipelines, the changes, I think all these kind of probably, if I'm thinking about it realistically, merge together because there's just so much to do. I think changes becomes a larger project, and I produced a 2 streams rather than one. Um, okay, so that's data. They added not null. can't be updated. It's a one way right. Um, that. New index. Okay, let's do that. I realized today that I have been slacking a bit in my scripts because you don't know how you don't know the things you've missed until someone else tries to set up the project. Changes.sql. Now I go over here to the receivers. We're going to do change detail receiver. This is a event receiver of change details. Messaging events changes detail change event. Better to keep that similar to the name. Let's go in here, add Kafka. So this is to add transient. Hey Mojo, how you doing? Add the receiver. Okay. So all this needs to do is capture receiving messages, acquiring entities, attachment receiver. Yeah, all this needs to do is changes, capture, change detail. Class record. Public. Bullet record. Command. Sorry. I'm going to make this a little I command result. I'm going to basically make this send. So the last couple of days I've been pretty bad on the whole unit testing thing. And it's mainly because I'm trying to get this to a point where it does work, but then needs a lot of strengthening and tightening up because I don't know what I'm missing. I don't know what I don't know, and I don't know the problems I'm going to have. So I'm trying to get to the kind of the prototype phase fast, then add another column in, so add another property, something like the project, something more detailed, and then come back again and try and fix that. Hey, Hectic, how you doing? New capture change detail dot command cancellation token. Yeah, it is the one and only. Absolutely. How is your Saturday evening or your Sunday morning going? Okay, so we need a chain. So I'm going to if event but change. Saturday evening's going good. I made salmon banh mi sandwiches for dinner. Or salmon banh mi. I think the sandwich is kind of in the name. um, with some shrimp, some rice with peas and corn in it. This is a new ad type. It's on the side. I don't know. I don't see the ads. I've never seen the ads. Chicken and bacon pie. The rice was a cheat, and the bread on the sandwich was a cheat for me. So as a British person, carbs and fats are pretty much what I lived on, right? Um, it wasn't a pie. um, and I have been told that I've got to cut carbs out of my diet. Oh, and all other things as well, because I've got to lower my cholesterol at the same time as uh, trying to lose a lot of weight. So, tricky. Okay, so we're gonna. What I was gonna do there is, I'm thinking I don't want to capture new, right? It exists. It was new. We can show the date added. We don't need a new event. So what I was going to do there was, um, actually this channel swallows new, so there's never going to be a new. If it gets in here right now, detailed change events are only going to come from updated records, which I think is a solid change. So event, um, event ID, event dot. This is a debugging field essentially. You're doing a web server, right? Which part? There's a whole lot of stuff going on with this right this second. I think entity type, event identifier. I'm curious to what project type did you select when you initially started in Rider? But it very much depends on what you actually want to do, right? Because I've got all sorts of projects here. So these are console projects. These are services that I'm running. Web application. I'm using new new web API application for these, and then removing chunks of it. Okay, so yeah, you're going to do add new project, web, not Blazor, and I've been selecting web API for these ones. If you want a UI, so Razor class library is UI, Blazor web app UI, MVP Razor pages. These are with UI. Yeah, web. Empty. Empty project for creating a .NET ASP.NET Core application. Does not have any content in it. It's probably more what I wanted initially. F sharp. Select all of two things for F sharp. Just dawned on me. There's actually worker services. I could probably just next time I go to create a receiver or whatever, I'm going to see if I can create that. The problem is that I built basically with the receivers. It just needs to be a console app, and it will deal with the rest because it runs a background service itself and registers that. Event dot source user dot identifier. The only reason I'm expanding the information so much, even though I'm getting rid of some of that now, is to other things that want to consume that. Like let's say I want to search on changes or whatever. I could produce this information without actually going tying all that information later. If I just drop it, it won't have any value. So then, then I'm going to event dot no, I'm gonna do JSON serializer serialize event dot changes. Let's try that. So nice. Change data. It's janky, but it works. Okay. So now that's going to pass in. I think that's acceptable. Yeah, Web API is a pretty reasonable thing. I think it'll start with the minimal API and Web API these days, but yeah. Is there any time when you want to deal with those things? Public class handler is an I command handler of command result. I'm doing result out of practice rather than necessity here. Result doesn't mean anything on the side because the receiver doesn't tell cap. Because hey, Trap, going well. How are you? How was your stream? I was lurking in there, but I was starting my stream at the same time. So apologies. Yeah, I'm not really doing much result here. And even if I did do something with result, I wouldn't want to not commit. Yeah, we'll we'll come making dinner. Nice. Nice. I finished dinner. Decided I'd come and see if I could stream and get these changes in the UI so I can at least get that vision dealt with. Right. So what I want to do here is create a domain model, a domain entity of change. And this is going to have this over here. This is going to have public long ID, public string entity type. That's what I was going to do here. I'm not gonna worry about it right this second because I'm gonna deal with this case, but there is kind of a roll up necessary here. With virtual user source user. I'm just gonna put that there for now. If a requirement changes, which we haven't got to the requirements changes yet, there's a whole lot of code that needs to be written for requirements changes there to get that through. But if we do a requirements change, that's going to have a parent entity ID. So this is going to need to know that, yeah, that's going to become a thing. The latest version of C Sharp is C Sharp 12, I believe, with .NET 8. So this CLR, they advanced C Sharp quite rapidly before they decided to move the CLR forward. So they made a lot of changes in the point versions. Now they're doing full versions. Um, Now it's even more out of step. Yeah, yeah. Plus new C Sharp 12. Yeah. eh, Java has the same sort of disconnect, I believe. No, Java's probably closer, but yeah, it's going to happen. Yeah. Hey, Sally, how you doing? I love the result pattern so much. It's a useful piece. They won't let me use C++, and that's my jam. Yeah. Okay, so source user ID, public period, event identifier. That's just to track it so that it can be referred to back later. Public date time occurred on. So we're going to capture the actual date time the event occurred on, public string data. This is what we're going to pass down to the client. I'm going to make the client responsible for deserializing that JSON. So we'll see what that looks like. And then public date time, date added. Okay. Then in our infrastructure contexts, update DB context first. My apologies. We're going to have changes. Changes is a set of change. Go back over here now. Good. Off the bed. Have a nice dream, 2D. Sally, thank you very much for stopping in. Appreciate it. Rest well. Take care. See you again soon. Okay. So update DB context is our first priority. We're going to make a view similar to the other one. So now we need an I repository of change, repository restoring. We're going to do the bad pattern, the one that is not recommended. One day I will learn what the alternative to doing this is. Like, how do people handle this? It doesn't seem an incorrect pattern, but it does seem a less than ideal pattern. It feels like a pragmatic option, but at the same time, it feels difficult. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to acquire a user, right? So var user ID equals actually source user ID equals sender dot await sender dot send new acquire user, right? Dot command, and this takes the command dot sort user identifier, and that should be the source user. The irony is I have the name and the email over here, but I don't want to just capture that on here. I'm just going to resolve it again so it resolves back to a user in this side of things. This system is built to cope with that design of not having the entity yet. So it's okay. So that's going to acquire the user. Let's make that source user identifier. Let's be clear. Um, Zero. No. Essentially, we're just going to store the rest of the information. And this is always going to be an add. There's no deduplication required here, I don't think. Maybe. Like maybe if the Kafka message tried again, we wouldn't want to insert another change. Existing change. That's why we're trapping the event identifier equals repository dot first the default async new entity by identifier spec. I don't think change matches the no. It's not its identifier, so it doesn't follow that pattern. So we'll do specifications, change by event identifier spec is going to be specification of change, I single result specification of change. Structure takes a GUID event identifier. Kalexi, thank you very much for the follow. Welcome in. Then we are going to do, if you have any questions, thoughts, opinions on what I'm doing, you're more than welcome to join in. If you're just hanging out and watching someone code, then welcome in. So query.where C goes to C.event identifier equals event identifier. So now over here, we can do new change by event identifier spec. So this would happen if for some reason we reprocess the Kafka messages, reset the queue. If we'd already stored this event, we don't want to do anything. So existing change is not null. Return task dot, not return result dot helps if you actually await asynchronous code. Otherwise, we're going to add, and again, there's no harm here. We just bail out, right? So event identifier, might as well start with that. Command event identifier. Entity type equals command dot entity type. Entity identifier equals entity identifier. Does anyone else find it really difficult to code if your file structure is gross? A little. I'm not scared to change file structure. If I make a decision, sometimes I make decisions in the I'm not going to dwell on it. But then when I come back and look at it, I find it difficult. I just restructure the code, restructure the I'm not scared to change it around. I think I might be a little too autistic. Like I cannot code if the file structure is terrible. I mean, I don't know. But I do know. I mean, my wife works with kids with all sorts of challenges and issues, and she does believe that I might have a little bit of something. So maybe I'm a little bit more alike. I don't know. So our source user ID. Yeah, she believes that I sometimes. Occurred on. Oh, we need to trap that. We didn't capture that one in here, so we need daytime occurred on. The reason I want to trap that separately to the insert is I want to make sure that we actually are tracking or making it visible that it might, just because we added it 3 hours later doesn't mean it was done 3 hours later than that. So command dot occurred on, and then data equals command dot change data. Any fields I'm missing there? Date added. Date time.utc now. Turn result but success. Again, I could get away with result, but it's not going to hurt me here. And we need a cancellation token passed in there because we are being good async await developers. No, that'd be cruel. If you're in, I don't know if you're in my Discord, Hexic, but if you are, you just need to look at some of the screenshots that Mojo was posted of late, and it'll break your brain. Oh, do I not have I know I need bot setup. Hold on. There's a link in the cards below. I need to go back and do some of this setup again, I think. The hold on there was, I thought I had what's the slobs Streamlabs. I thought I had their bot enabled. I thought there was a Discord in there. Hey Ian, how you doing? How are things? Commands. Does that still work? Yes, it does. Why am I tempted to sing things? What's that? Okay, there we go. You almost convinced me to delete the entire report today. Somebody just started audibly laughing at our logger. Dear. Okay, I'm just going to test this just to see. Yeah, there you go. Streamlabs. Yeah. Okay. So we have the capture. We have this. So I should be able to start this up. TB Discord. I'm not a creative person. It is open for renaming. So we're gonna run this and see if it imports the changes. Right. Or crashes in a heap and cries, which is also an option. There we go. There's our changes. Nice. It's like I know what I'm doing. This drives me nuts. There's a channel down here in this view, and I keep thinking that the bar's here because there's no visual line down here, and it's the bar's here, this imaginary spot, and it drives me insane. Like that. That's not where that is. Okay, so there's a data. Again, we're only storing the JSON data in there because the view is going to use we're going to build some templates on the view. because it's going to understand, okay, well, there's an array of things that have a name. For each name, we can display what we want to do. It leaves that responsibility there rather than on the server to determine what it should look like. And that's figured out that user 2 made the changes. That's good. So we've got enough there to work with. So let's stop that running. Just finished the DDD, but why every DDD conference video is based on the building blocks of DDD. You finished the book. Nice. It's been a while since I read that one. My expectation is by the time I've got through this, I'm going to have a better understanding of what my domain is, and I'll be able to apply some concepts. I am not someone who can just read a book and go, "Oh yeah, I know it all." Um, um, what is aggregate? The book is nothing like it. No, no. And in real life, by the way, he is really easy to talk to. He's a nice developer to talk to. Okay, so what we need now is on the. Why did Google keep starting things? Google domains. Wow. I do not know. Okay, so that's that. That's that. Okay. Add changes table. Where did I put that? Did I do what I. No. Okay. Add changes table. Feature. Add changes components to receivers. I don't want to align this with GraphQL, but now even I'm seeing the abuse of Vue mojo. And I'm like, we're going to name this something different soon. um, yeah, we'll compound it. Yeah, I change components to receivers Vue library. Consume detailed change events. Right to changes. Consumption. Oh. That. That. Right. Even the aggregate is nothing new to me. People also refer to it grouped element thinking in C and C++. My my entities in some respects really are aggregates in some of them. But again, like I said, I'm not trying to do any sort of design of any DDD design in this application. I feel that once I have a deep understanding of it all, these will start to show a little bit more to me, and I'll be able to apply it. And that's just the way I think. Like I understand a lot of the technology pieces of DDD but the effectively pulling apart your domain and understanding the context and doing all those things. And I think you need a better understanding of the actual domain before you try modeling the domain. And I think a lot of people fall short, and the technology solution gets in the way of the behavior. So I think the mapping this out in its behaviors and its pieces is going to do me more than trying to apply a set of um, practices that I'm just not comfortable with, whether they be technological or just analytical. Okay, so now we're going to update the ViewDB context, but we're actually going to create a view here. So which one's this one? Is this QRL? Q. Select star from changes. Right. Select. So we don't. Oh, um, I don't think it is easy to do. I think I've seen a lot of people try and do some of the patterns and co-designs. So yeah, that'd be a good amount. Join users u on u dot id equals c dot source user id. So we're gonna select entity type. Treating that as a link hexic, by the way. So it's data grids MongoDB auto completions looks, yeah, that's fine. It it's Saturday night. um I'm not complete. I'm not locking the language completely down. Column scenes like, all the engines have quirky names for things. It's because I feel that it's because it's what the original game that they were building when they built the engine was based upon, or the general understanding. Um, the whole actors thing in um, Unreal confuses me. Okay, entity type, entity identifier, um, u dot name, u dot identifier, source user identifier. Um, so some of this kind of seems weird. I've kind of got this information, and then I'm discarding information, then I'm reassembling the information. But it does make sense in terms of I don't want to be storing the source user identifier here. I'm trying to line this up with an actual user in this system because this has got that view data. So I don't want to capture another copy of it and have them fall out of sync. So I'm just going to make them align with what this system says the name is right now. But then when I'm click on, if I want to see user details, if I want to click on a user profile at all, I want to be able to use their identifier. So that's why I'm pulling that back out. I don't think it's damaging. We don't need event identifier in here. Occurred on is probably so C dot. Let's be explicit about these. Occurred on and C dot data. Let's do See that date value. Okay, so there's our view. Right, a second. No. Create a view. We're going to call this changes view. And yes, we're going to call it changes view, changes a view in the view. Okay. That's that. That's that. That's that. There's our changes view. So now in here, no, not in here. In here, and again, I've nested the view thing under here under entities because the same. The men represent the same entities, right? So this is still a change as far as the view is concerned. It's just public string type, public string. Oh. Period, period, date time, added. Ultimate domains. Yeah. I have two that I just marked to expire. Like I just use silly names to like map to teams TeamSpeak servers and stuff. Okay, so we need a configuration for these ones because these map because the object would want to be changes and it doesn't map to changes. Changes view configuration. So this is an I entity type configuration of change, and it's the view change, not the table change. Well, hexicdev.uk is going to be my main one now. I'm going to mark the others for expiration. Yeah. I've got two that are coming up next month that are like $80, so that saves me that. Then I've got more coming up in September. Oh no, in November, sorry. I've got two coming up in September, two in November. Builder.to view, changes view. I think that's all I need. Yeah. As key. Well, let me do this. This might not let me work on this one as a primary key. Let's switch them to run through Cloudflare. I love Cloudflare. Nice. Okay, so we got the changes view. And we've got that. So now what we need to do is on the query side of things. Query dot changes. I need to understand more about how to configure hot chocolate GraphQL for different query types. And then I probably want to structure these outside of the base. So this is partial query. This is rigged. It charged me a pound. No. Partial class query. What are you complaining about now? You shouldn't query it. You should be. Oh, ads. Okay. Okay, so we're going to authorize. It has to be authorized, and we're going to do change. It changes UDB context, which we actually need to add in the changes. So let's do that now. Public DB set. Changes set. Context dot changes. Okay, so this is going to be a little different. There's a major flaw. Well, it has a risk, but it's so far off possible. If GUIDs are as unique as claimed, which I have no reason to believe they're not, this has no way of colliding. Because what I'm going to do is here, I'm going to ask for changes for an entity. I don't have any tenant, right? I have to be authorized, but I'm not narrowing this by tenant, and this changes query will pull all changes for all objects ever, right? The intent here is that I need to pass in an entity type and an identifier to be able to get it, right? So that should be enough to stop me. I'm going to bring up the hot chocolate documentation on the screen because it is bright white. Hot chocolate GraphQL is the library I'm using from Chili Cream. They do not have a dark mode on the website. Fetching data, filtering. Use projection, I believe. Use map GraphQL. Add types. So we have the types there. So these types here that are specified, by the way, what these are is they are limiting fields. So even if my view contains a bit more information than it should do, I can actually remove redundant data, right? So I could prevent it returning planning item identifier and entity type, right, by going in here, add class, change type, and then just copy object type, change in the view. Don't want to get that wrong. That should be an override, right? Oh, helps if you override the right thing. But then I can ignore entity type and entity type identifier, entity identifier. So if I end up getting a changes for other objects, it's not even going to provide the information back. However, I can still query it. What I've got to figure out here is do I want filtering? field. Useful to type. Find fields explicitly. Objections, resolvers. It's not resolver. Object type. Hot chocolate. GraphQL. Parameters. I mean, I have an example. Ryan, good evening. How are you doing? How's things? Tomorrow, I'm going to, by the way, get the prompter set back up because I do miss that. It's better to, I prefer looking at the camera and seeing the chat. It's much easier for me to glance up than it is to glance there all the time. Because I end up sat in a weird position. So I'm going to get the prompter set up. I was going to do it today, but I decided cooking dinner was a better option. So I actually do have a query, I think. Yeah, so we have identifier. So maybe we just add period identifier string. Can I do entity type? We just do where C goes to C dot entity type equals entity type and C dot entity identifier equals identifier. It might just work. Noble Penniless, thank you very much for the follow. Welcome in. Hello. How's things? Let's test this thing now. So we should be able to start up the GraphQL piece. We should be able to jump over here and grab the token. I'm good. I'm good. I've been good. Nice chill Saturday evening, building some code. Can I ask your coding background? You can. I've been a developer for professionally 25 years. I've done most of that in C# and .NET. Some PHP, some basic. I've worked on all sorts of different systems from CMS, hotel reservations, parking, research tools, product research tools, more specifically private aircraft. Banana, cakepop. Then Windows, desktop, mobile, or Windows web. If there's anything you want to know, if I can answer, I will do. Go to authorization here, paste that in, apply that. Math major with a slight interest in coding. I've also filled with basic. Nice. I love being able to create things. I love being able to stretch my brain, solve problems, come up with solutions, whether they're right or wrong, doesn't really matter. You know, being able to say I created something, I did something, and maybe I helped someone. It's a nice feeling. But also, um, uh, why, why? 786. Why do you not want to? Oh, you don't want to work because that doesn't work. No compatible constructor found for input type. So that is because there is no explicit constructor for. I should return the description. It wants that. That's the problem. It doesn't know how to. GraphQL does not know how to convert the entity type. I'm currently a tutor. Love the job, but I want to code things too. Yeah. Okay, that was healthier. Okay, so we do query. Changes. So this is going to need. There's arguments. Where do you go? Okay, so that's how we do arguments there. Query. Changes for entity. Entity type. String. Yeah, there's a Discord. Is there? Do you have any questions or do you want to talk about stuff? You're more than welcome to join. Okay, so planning item by ID. So this is going to be changes for entity type, identifier maybe. What do I like there? Oh, it needs a name. Entity type. It's matching. It's mapping those to the parameters, and then we select the changes we want. So that wants codon source. What is going wrong with this? No, just enjoying the stream. I hate setting DNS records. Yeah. I had to set a load of records for getting well there was a I wanted to add domain records for email to what's it called? Service that will no longer use. And yeah, that was fun. Okay, so changes. Do a record for GitHub to go to my GitHub. What's been there we go, that's better. That's better. Data. So that'll fail because I need parameters, right? So I need to give it entity type and whatever. So down here, I need to feed those in, which is so entity type is going to be planning item, and identifier is going to be, we need a planning item. We actually need a planning item that we care about. So let's do 19. Yeah, so let's do that one. There we go. That's something to do, but I'll return another day. Have a great rest of the stream. Noble Penniless, thank you very much for coming by. Hope all goes well. See you again. So that's the name. That's who made the change. Source user identifier. And data. Oh. No, it's fine. It's fine. Code on. Date added. We don't need commas in here, by the way. They're redundant. So that should get us all that information now. So that's running a query. So if you're interested in the background, when I change this, right, it's actually adding these fields. So if I remove everything but name, we should see a query that's select name from changes view, right? So it's doing it dynamically. It's matching those two properties. It's not adding everything else in. Because the view already includes the join, it will be there anyway. But if I was doing the join dynamically as well, it would actually join the user because it's using projection, so it's only asking for what it needs, which does improve the performance. Because obviously, if I'm asking for a lot of data and I'm flexing it, it's going to allow me to only get the data I need back from the SQL Server. So it does save some things. The challenge is, I suppose, that the caching of this piece is pretty much useless because I could be asking for different things on different screens at different times, which is never fun. Okay, so now we have the view in there. We have that running. We'll start that piece up again, and then we'll start the API gateway up. So we have the two pieces running. The client's already running, so we can get this part working. What we're going to do here is we're going to make it so that when we click on one of the things that has changed, which happen to have no idea which ones I've actually changed. So this is going to be fun. We're going to add a changes tab here and show these changes in order. So we get to do some client-side code. But where nothing there was signing. So modules, planning, views. This is all stuff that I need to tidy up. Planning item detail, attachment. So the attachments list here is not. So when you click here, this entire panel is something that could be loaded outside, reconstituted. Requirements the same way, right? So we're going to follow the same pattern here. Got a new component. Anytime today. And again, if you're new to the stream, you are more than welcome to ask questions. If you have opinions, it's all good. Okay, so now we're going to go to the planning item detail, I think. Yep. We're going to add P tab panel. Header equals changes. App changes. And this is going to be identifier equals interesting item.id. So on the client, I'm always referring to it as ID, but it maps to identifier. It's called ID on the client because the signal store if I want to track entities and track changes in entities properly, it needs to be mapped to an object that has an ID. So that's why it's alias that way. Which is going to make this part a little harder. But I'm going to build this straight out the box to be this changes list might actually end up being. Do I want to make it generic now? Yeah, what's that? What's the worst that happens? Plan an item. So on here we have this. This is now the new way of doing input variables, it looks like. So we need requirements, changes. We need an identifier and we need an entity type. Is an import of string. So there's our, and then we'll set a store and set the changes somewhere. And then we'll do something with changes. Okay. Stores. The stores are useful because what they do is they separate the front end from the back end, right? So I'm not these components. I'm not directly wiring up to an API and then calling that. So the store gives me some sort of caching. I can do all sorts of stuff in there. I can translate data. I can do all sorts. So it gives me options. I will be right back. Okay, I'm back. My apologies for that. Down. Okay. Okay, so what I need to do here is build a signal store. A signal store is something I'm trying to learn my way around a little bit. So basic concept is I'm going to use this. It's going to store the data from the API inside of it. So it's going to cache it locally. It's going to allow me to kind of monitor for changes, etc. So if I change the object, I can react to it, etc. I can do all sorts of stuff in here. What I've generally done is put the services in. So under the planning thing, I've got all the services. We are going to do a changes service. So let's start with that part. Yeah. No component. No service. Use your brain. Changes. Skip test. I'm not good enough on the client side to be doing unit testing. There's no point creating a bunch of tests and just accepting that I'm going to have a lot of test files that are just technical debt. If by some miracle I figure out how to get the time to go off and learn how to do that, then yay. So that I just did there is kind of a named path. So what I can do, so again for environments, I can do the same thing. I think if I remember correctly, let's see if I is it tsconfig. Yeah, here you go. So what you can do is you can actually name directory structures, so they all fall under this kind of path. So what we'll do is create an environment star, and let's do that. And that should allow me to go back to that file there that I just touched upon. And now it'll let me replace that with environment. So I don't have to have those dot crazy things. Realistically, all I was doing was that. So I wanted the base URL. So that's included that now automatically for me, which keeps that nice and clean. We're going to inject an Apollo client here because we don't need an HTTP client yet. And here we're going to do something like that. So we can go over here and take the query we built before. Right. So if we go to the planning item service, right, we can see there's our version with the parameters, and it looks almost identical to what we've got here. I believe that's an alias. So that's why it didn't work over here, because this doesn't take aliases. So that's not like Bob. Oh, it did. It did. So there you go, Bob. That worked. Okay. So that's what that changes, the data, the value coming back. Because otherwise it'd be a planning item by ID here. So I named this like it was going to be, but in this I called it just changes because it's just generic. So we can create, yeah, that'll do for right a second. Then we can take all that and turn that out there. And we can say, that's pretty impressive actually. We can do identifier string entity type string. How do I do that over here? So we pass that in as variables at the bottom. Is it after the tick, comma that, and then entity type is entity type. Trying to be consistent, they match these two things. Interestingly, I flipped there. Does that matter? Does that matter one little bit? No, it doesn't. What are you doing? What do you like? It's complaining about something. Oh no, ads again. Planning item does not exist on entity type. It's a string. There you go, that'll healthier. This is still whining, but I don't know why. Let's assume that that's not going to break right now because it's not. Let's refer to it first before we worry too much. So I'm going to create a store for that, and it's not actually much of a file. So probably do a TS file, and this is changes dot store. One day, I hope to be able to watch enough of like Mills stream to be able to understand the right way to use the stores. Hello, buddy. Oh, be careful, bud. Be careful. Hello. Hello. Okay, we've got a friend. Hello. That's Loki. Hi, Deflux. How are you doing? And JS Method, thank you very much for the follow. Hello, buddy. Hello. Oh, thank you. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, bud. Okay, sit. Sit. Magnetonics. Hello. How you doing? Good evening. Good boy. Sit. Sit. There you go. Whoop. Doing good. Doing good. Being productive. Trying to get the changes to show in the screen. So I'm gonna do a bit of copy and paste here for right this second. So the signal store works off features. So I'm gonna add. I've kind of been breaking them down into features rather than actually defining everything in the store. I don't technically need to do this because if you look, uh, the dogs are now going to fight. Awesome. I suppose they've been sat quietly for over an hour, so they've been quiet, and now they want to play. I thought they'd go outside and play. Yeah. So what we're going to do here is we're going to create. I don't need to worry about all those things. Just need to worry about that. I think. Yeah. Let's just do it. It's not exactly ideal, but let's changes query feature.ts. Just popped in to say, hey, hello, Napalm. We are having a good Saturday evening. So the way you define the feature is the feature is kind of with you kind of define the methods that you can call on it, and that gives you the ability to wire up the service so the service is wired. So what we're going to do here is we're just going to copy this one, right? The with entities, we're going to change that in a minute to be a change. So the change entity, we're not going to make it with entities. That can't be with entities. It's not tracking those things, so it's fine. We don't do that. Yeah. Match state. We need, yeah. So we're going to inject the changes service, which removes that. That. I'm going to call that changes service here. Oh, sorry to hear that. And then this is going to need, I didn't have the concept of current in there. So in this method, we're going to pass in we're going to call it load instead of load all because it's just, and then we're going to pass in entity. We're going to pass in ID string and entity type. Let's just be explicit for a minute. Identifier entity type. Actually, let's be ID. It can be identified behind the scenes there. I don't think it's going to matter there. Duh. It's that. That's that one. So we need a curly brace, then that one, then that one, semicolon. No, no, that's that one. That's that one. That one. Okay. So I've yet to get my head around fully how you get the store, all the states and stuff in the store. I never did. I've not done any React where I know Redux comes from. So I'm I've accepted that I'm just going to figure this out as I go and understand more later once I've applied the knowledge, right? Not ideal, but it has to work for now because I cannot, my brain can't cope with more. Okay, so we do need that. So we do need GQL. That's missing for certain. So what else is missing here? It's not telling me. Oh, changes list response. That's why. How are you doing, Deflex, by the way? I did say hi, right? I wasn't completely rude. No, the dogs were jumping over me at that point. Okay. Announcing response buying items. So this is going to be, what's this going to be? A change. It's going to be an array of changes. So in this one, I made a planning items list response, right? Planning item list response. And that is this. It says planning items. Yeah. So we need changes list response. Yes. Export interface. Changes list response. It's going to changes. Change. Actually, we have a naming mess there because each one of these records can contain one or many changes. It's a change set. So it's an array of change set. I'm not going to mess around with aliasing that right this second. The naming doesn't feel right. But we will persevere. So we need a change set model. So change set.ts. Export interface change set. Oh, yeah. try, and this will be this object basically. Name, source user identifier, codon. They added data. There you go. That's that. That's a change set. Yeah, yeah. There's a naming jankiness there that I don't like, but we'll get that working afterwards. So we now have a project. We now have a changes store that we can say over here. We can inject this now. So read only store equals inject changes store, right? And then implements on init, and then ng on init. What don't you like about that? Input signal. Why don't you like? Why do you like that one? But you don't like that one? If this identifier and that's not. How do I get that one? Why? String undefined. That's not the answer. Resolve. Find. Angular. Import. Check value of Angular imports. Angular 18. It's not an input field, it's an input type. That's the no. So this is where I feel most out of my depth, right? Because there's so much to learn along the way here, right? I've got so many different pieces to track. The client side has always been very difficult for me. I've just never felt comfortable. I always feel like I'm chasing my learning around and never doing anything decent. Input signal, there we go. That's better. Input signal, Angular 18. Signals were a new thing in a couple of versions of Angular ago, and they're kind of leaning into it a little bit more. String or undefined. So that's input string, so string undefined. Nice. Using templates. All right, okay, so do I have to do, right, that's not the way I use it. But that works. So what's the value? This age, monitoring changes. better. That's better. There we go. We learned a thing. We can make it required. They're absolutely required because the component isn't going to work without them. And then we can do for let change of changes store dot. This is interesting. So uh so store dot load. No navigation on these ones. So changes store between query load is going to fetch all into the service. From the service, it's going to fetch all. And it's going to patch the state of the store. We need to patch the state of the store with. This doesn't use. I'm not using entities for the first time in a while, which is going to be. So here I use in the planning item store I use entities because I can map to this, right? JS method. Thank you very much for the raid. Welcome in. How did things go? How was the stream? What were you up to? Ah, Minotonics, thank you very much for the call out. Things went well. We finished making a base quintillion counting system for my idle game. Nice. Nice. That's cool. Shibiko. Yes, I am doing some Angular dev. Or struggling through some Angular dev. I am building a so one of the things I focus on this stream is application development. I'm trying to build an application based around project planning, which is currently broken because my Angular is not working. Named Liquid Sky. It's a .NET backend, and is a highly distributed system at this point. And in Angular, what I'm doing here, yeah, like a Jira, yeah. I have a few different things that I believe I'm doing that Jira doesn't do. C# enjoy. I've been a .NET dev for 20 years. I've been doing development for quite a while, so it's kind of what I do. One of the things I'm focused on is trying to make sure that we don't, as developers, we don't have to touch Jira, or don't have to touch this. So I'm trying to focus on the product side of it, the planning side, and trying to gather requirements and doing all those sorts of things. Kind of trying to make it so that the developer can just be told, hey, you need to work on this now, and go off and work on that. And when they finish working on that, it will tell the people in management, oh, by the way, this got moved, this got updated, this is done now. You don't have to worry about, oh, well, we need to tell people because they can watch the system. So I'm trying to make it extremely flexible for the notifications piece and the reporting piece, because I don't like doing status updates as a developer. Yeah, C# is our first going into programming. I love it. It's used it for a long time, and always learning, always doing new things, always picking up new things. I have done some I've done some game dev on stream recently. I haven't tried to pick it up again because I've just been so focused on getting this to a good point. But I have been doing some Godot development as well. And I want to get back to that. It's just I'm just trying to like get my brain on this getting this to a good stage as a product. I get to C# space engineers. Nice. So I don't know. I do love my C#. What I'm thinking about right this second is I need to with projects query. Yeah, I made everything entities here. What's the way to get in grx.io? So this is the Angular version of Redux, and I'm using the signal store. No, not installation. I've kind of got the installation. Core concepts, books. I need a state, don't I? To access. Did you hear me say, what was this ticket about again? I just put the button here and hope that's what they wanted. The exact problem I want to solve. Um, why did Heyo? Sorry, just startup error. Doesn't show as a viewer from your stream.js method, but said Heyo, and then Seribot just went ban. Auto ban detected block list. I hope that's not legit. I apologize if he's got banned for no reason. I assume League on occasion, so one of them might have escaped. I haven't really worked with signals yet. So but my problem is I'm happier on the back end. Right? I love my back end development. Obviously, I'm trying to build a platform. I have no option but to build um, everything. I've used Angular, which is why I picked up Angular to do this product with. Um, I'm trying to build it in such a way that I understand how to pull it apart again, and I want to get better at using the Angular pieces. So I'm using signals, I'm using signal stores to try and lean into that. If you do are interested in uh, Angular development, Xocamil is the only streamer I know of that does a lot of Angular and is extremely good at it and does a lot of the signal store stuff. Always happy to talk about it. I've tried playing a MOBA once, and that is not a game not games I like playing. What I'm trying to do here is refresh my memory on how I do a signal store without using entities. So that you can use these entities, right? So you can do entity management if you're tracking an ID, and it will actually track those entities and you can patch them and all sorts. But in this case, I want to load the current changes. So I don't even need state tracking here. I could probably get away with not using a signal store. It's just going to be quicker if the signal store catches the changes. Um, Actually, no, I don't want to use a signal store, do I? It's completely useless in this case. It's completely useless. I do not want to use changes to track. This is a complete waste of energy. There's no point in caching the changes because if I click on object A and then click on object B, I want it to go and get the changes every time. The store's just going to get wiped out regardless. This is one case where it's okay for me to bring the service up, I think. because this is it. Do I want? Let's see if we can get it working. Because I don't want to patch this. I don't want to. I want to set the state of the store. State tracking. My worry there was what happens when I have changes from object A and then I click on object B. Am I going to see the list of changes from object A and B? That's my primary concern. But the signal store does allow me to break the API away from the front end, so I do get some mocking and behavior there. Love it. I used to be a full-time coach, but I miss doing technical stuff. Can be a good time if approached correctly. Core concepts, filter, initialize. This documentation is not good. Reading state, here we go. So do I just have to set a state object? States. So if I create a changes state. TS. Oh, that's not stunning, is it? That's not stunning example of state. So reading state. There we go. Injection token. Book state, signal store, inject, post, type. So this would be type changes state. And this is changes, and that's change set, which is a terrible name, but come back around on that afterwards. It's fine. We don't need any other stuff right this second. And then basically we can do in the changes store here, initial state equals changes. Tell me I was consistent. That's that. Changes that. We don't need any of that. And then you can do with hello, buddy. You okay? You gonna go sit down? There's no food up here, bud. You've had dinner. I can't wait for the free release. Are you having fun laddering so far? You guys talking about games I haven't played. With state, changes state, initial state. Yeah. So I'm not going to pretend I'm some sort of Angular genius. I am still trying to learn my way around all the pieces. I understand how to put a page together. I understand how to structure things. But I do have a lot to learn. So we have the changes store, changes state, changes query. So now this change, we need to modify the state here. Reading state, putting it all together. So that's initial state with methods, update, load by query. We get that, then we set patch state store, and then we need to do results. Dot. That's not books though. Books here is set. Type response. Right, but that's what's the results dot data changes. Kind of wish it's an API something else that let me develop my own build order app. Oh, you're talking about games. Isn't Memsworth doing something like that for Honkai? Isn't that exactly what he's doing? Angular's all right. I've been doing Angular for a long while now. I mean, I picked up Angular in Angular JS times when I was building an application for the company I worked for. Um, Again, the it was a means to an end. Um, it's just I don't have the time uh to spend learning in depth how to. I've never been able to sit down and spend that time to go and sit down and learn how to use Angular super effectively. I can get by. I'm building an application here. It is working. I don't think I'm too far off the mark, but it's uh it's challenging for certain. Hold on. So if I do that now, that is a change set, right? So let changes equals that. So why doesn't that let me do chains? What are you? Why are you not an object literal? Maybe may I specify no properties and changes in that existing type? Oh, because I've not specified with state change changes state. That's why that's not legal. That's why I'm combining too many things here. Um, that's where I think I'm going wrong. I need to do that. If I set that there now, does that yeah, that doesn't complain now. Changes. Yeah. So technically that's redundant there. So it doesn't matter because I'm already doing the initial state of the other one. I could do that here. Again, I'm trying to learn my way around things. I'm trying to understand as much as I can as I go forward, but it's always productive. Yeah, I used AngularJS back in 2015. Back when we were building an application, looked at Angular 2 that was coming and missed the mark there by about 6 months. Having seen what I've seen since, I'd have probably delayed 6 months if I had the option. Okay, so this gives me changes. So that should just go in there now. No, it doesn't like that because why? Yeah, it's cleaner anyway. So we have a change store. Now, how do we get that content out again? store. I'm not sure I want that in there, but it will give me what I want for right this second. So you can do with computed, right? Changes. Import that. Changes. Actually, we don't need that because we can just get the store. I believe we have the store. We've loaded all. We've got the change state. I believe for change of store dots. Problem is that track by track change dot. We'll come back around on that. It's going to complain at me for that one, but I just want to output something in a second. Change dot name. There we go. Okay, so not wrong, not correct, but wrong. Make the UI look awesome. There you go. It worked. I mean, I'm a professional. It worked perfectly first time. Any challenges? Absolutely, that worked. Just as I intended. So then we've got change dot occurred on. Update pipe. No. I wish I had. There you go. I wish I knew how to make it remember the URL between reloads. So if I refreshed, it wouldn't redirect back to the beginning. What I'm trying not to do is get distracted on like tweaks like that for too long, because then I just get bored of things. But the problem is, I find it frustrating that if I refresh, I have to go back to the beginning. I have to, yeah. Like, could save me some development time. Okay, so there's our object. Name last updated. So that one just got last updated. Oh no, not what I want to see. I need to trigger the load every time. I'm not going to panic about that. So the problem there is that this is not. When I load the panel, that is already populated. I need it to load every single time. It's not going to. I need to trigger it on selection of this control. It's cached. Which piece am I looking for there? It's not on because it's not being constructed at the time, is it? Um, life cycle. Need to know the life cycle. Constructing. So it constructed when I loaded that page. It is not constructing when I load that page. So it's not reloading it again, but it's initializing, right? Or does that only fire once? Lives. Initializing changes component. There's our load. Yeah. Track expression. Track change dot ID. For one ID? No, I don't have ID. I probably need ID there. I need something to uniquely identify the change. I do have an event identifier. I probably should pass that down as an event ID. That would give me unique tracking on the individual events. But that's not. That is a problem. I need an ID there. Let's fix that one quick. So we'll stop the GraphQL project. We'll go and fix that part. So let's go and modify the view. We'll do C dot event identifier as identifier. That's fine. Not forget to do the script part of it. Views. Already forgot to do the script part of it. 007 changes view.sql. Go. That's that. Then on the change, we have public period identifier. Then that's in the view, yeah. Then on the infrastructure context. Yeah, that should do. Should do it. That should give us that available. There we go. We have identifier now. as our identifier, and then what we do is we'd alias it as ID on the client side, so we'd have ID. So then we can go over here now, and we can go to changes store query, changes, change set. This has ID string. In our service, we can do ID identifier. Again, I use identifier to indicate a GUID, an ID to indicate a unique. Actually, I don't need that. A unique uh, index, a unique ID on the table, and also incrementing ID number. And I keep them separate just to have both concepts, so I don't end up with collision there. Because the GUID, the identifier, is shared between systems. So I might have a planning item that I publish, and then the view consumes the published planning item. I'm tracking that identifier. I don't want to share IDs around the system, and I don't want to key off a GUID. I'd rather key off an auto incrementing ID and have an indexable field. So that's going to work by doing that now. It doesn't solve my problem by any stretch of the imagination, but it should cut down some of the mess. He hopes. It's interesting. I didn't. Yeah. Track by identity. Configured tracking expression. Cause recreation of the entire collections. Track. Yeah, it does. It's not. Track change ID. That's what I'm doing. Well. So what I'm going to figure out is, well, a few things really. So come here. Come in. It's this is funny. So it's 10. It's turned 10 o'clock. The dogs know that 10 o'clock is a good bedtime. So the one dog kicks into gear around this time. She knows that she can. If she cries, she can get to bed. So she knows to make a nuisance out of herself. Become quite funny. She'll sulk in a minute if I don't. But yeah. So what I need to understand is life cycle, because I need to basically say this is going to load every time I click this changes. I'll as well bark if the lights are on. Nice. So first order of business, make sure it can reload the changes, because what's happening is, because that control's loaded, even if I load into a different panel, ASP on a call chicanery. Actually, that does behave differently. So I need to treat it as if this panel's being disposed, and whenever I click this component or whenever I change this component, this automatically fires. So at some point, I'm going to end up leaning into the signals there. I know that much, because I'm going to know, oh, the panel changed, therefore this must have to update. So I'm going to rely upon events happening in the page. from there, once I've got this loading consistent, because I need to be able to click through these, right? I can't just rely upon, oh, well, I'm going to do that and then click on that because now that's loaded, right? So from there, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this array of changes. They all have common name. And then I'm going to create templates for each one and render them out. It's the most practical way I can think of handling this because I don't want to be building that on the server side. It just seems unnecessary. And I think because it's an object, it will work. I should decide to eat and bowl now. Yeah, so how do I do that? How do I kind of want to make a little bit more progress before I call this? Because that details panel is this. I clearly know when this is reloaded. Item is a planning item. Hold on, planning item detail, if item. Am I setting that through? Well, am I setting that through? Setting it through the show method. So why doesn't that? Do I get told when that changes? Like, can I do identifier this the identifier? Ow. That's a bugger. Like, can I subscribe to the signal? Because if I'm loading item is definitely loading the rest of the data in the thing. So I'm clearly changing item, which means that those fields have to be changing. Subscribe to input signal change. Go 18. So if I can subscribe to that changing, what's it angry? So it's not just that. Signal inputs. Aliasing, monitoring changes. There we go. Effect. Is that it? So do I want it in the constructor? CTOR effect. Import, and then don't start on me, dog. No, don't start. That. I just want to make this progress. I know. Now it's not loading at all. The console log function is invoked every time the first name input changes. The single inputs users can leverage the effect function. The effect, that's what I'm doing. I'm leveraging the effect function. Okay. Okay, that's still working. I go here. Oh, there we go. Writing to signals is not allowed in a computed or an effect by default. Use allow signal writes in the create effect options to enable the side effects. I'm not writing to them. Huh? How am I writing to them? Take a look at the one. It is context Y fix. So select using same pattern guard, there's no error. Writing to signal. Dispatch action. Right, so you're touching the signal. Is it because I'm touching the store? Signals will be easy, they said. So NGRX signal store reload when signal changes. That's the problem. Change detection. Signal store with computed with state methods with computed. Yeah, but I wanna reload that when something else changes in the page. But it's telling me that that's not actually possible. Hi, Noble Panelists, welcome back. But I'm actually sure I've done this already somewhere else. Hold on. Find effect attachments component. Oh, look, I've done it already. But I must have done the same thing. I've planned to do this before, so it reloads other things. This item, but I use the store. But I'm fetching entities there. So the only difference here is I'm not actually. Hold on, let's. It's definitely this part that's causing the problem. I can technically use entities right now. Let's try and do it that way. So basically, no, I can't. It would be bad to use entities because entities would assume that I've got the data in there. So changed. Let's see if it even likes that. I'm trying to validate if it's the store or whether it's the changed those two. Change them to change them. Okay, so it's definitely firing it. Uh, no. I'm going to store contains a state signal that is updated on every state update and it behaves as any other signal, which means that we cannot update its value within the effect that it doesn't contain allowed signal rights. The compiled template code of each component is wrapped with effect, doesn't contain allowed signal rights proof, so we should not update any single signal. Yeah, I found it. Found it. Secret of happiness. Energy on it. Hey, the fun guy, the real. How you doing? Welcome in. It's bugging you as well, this rewriting. NG on in it in which component? So this seems reasonable. This issue, I'm going to think it's been released, including the fix to resolve the original issue. We also, right? app.component.ts. Yeah, that would do it. Mm-hmm. The aim of that is to put you into. So basically, that will if this initializes, it will move you to /planning. Otherwise, it'll leave you on the login page. So that would be what's causing that. Yeah, that makes sense. I suppose that would have to change to say, okay, if get the current route, and if it's authenticated, leave us there. Or if the current route is not, yeah. It, yeah, there's still some jank there for that purpose. So for anyone just joining, by the way, if you have not seen the stream before, I am building an application for project management, planning, tracking, and all sorts of other stuff. a few different things that I'm trying to do right now. I'm trying to identify. I'm trying to show the changes that have happened when you've updated some of these things. So I have a highly distributed system. It's many components, and I mean many. Uh, it's one for another day. Yeah. So, but if you have any specific questions, if you want to know anything about the application, I'm happy to talk about it. The coding is kind of the fun part, but if you have actual questions and I can help you learn something or pick something up, I'm happy to share. Okay, so the solve here, it looks like this was fixed in Angular 16, or there's an answer for this in Angular 16. But I'm not using tap. May 10th, May 10th, 2023, February 21st of this year. This commit wraps the actual parallel tract. That's nothing to do with it. Nothing to do with it. Wow. Writing signals is not allowed. It's not allowed. These are all the same thing. This store dispatch. I'm not trying to I'm not using NGRX, I'm using signal store. That's the problem. But hold on. Are they saying because they this dot store dot you can't do these things on that. There's no other actions available to me. Because these are state. So the problem is actually more signal store. That's all Angular 16. Hey, Tooks96, I'm afraid not. No, I'm a .NET developer. I apologize. Well, no, I don't apologize. I am what I am. Thank you for the follow. Appreciate it. It's just an NGR signal store challenge. Can I do this? Let's figure out. Does this work? ASAP scheduler dot schedule this dot store dot load. Does that actually do what I want it to do? Knowing that .NET is close to Spring Boot, I'm struggling to choose between Rails or Spring Boot. Ah, how much have you used of both of those? And what do you like and not like about them? So Net result performs the task as fast as it can be performed asynchronously. .NET, do you feel that you can make an app as fast as Rails? Absolutely. Um, I mean, are there things in Rails that are pretty good? Absolutely. I actually used Rails to get my head around MVC when it first came around. Okay, so that's that. But now we don't get changes. What? Feel like we need to see if we're getting changes now. I mean, any framework you click it, any framework you work in, right, is going to take some time to learn. Oh, that's just weird. That wasn't working. Please tell me that me putting that as console login doesn't change this behavior. Um, sorry, I'm trying to test that things out. I think any framework you work in is going to take a bit of time to get up and running with. And once you get used to the component pieces, if you feel productive, it's going to be you're going to get stuff done. Um, heard that Rails is best for the MVP. Not why I'm struggling with at the same time there's zero job in my country. Gotcha. Uh, again, I suppose I'd listen. I'd take that with a pinch of salt, a grain of salt, however the phrase goes. Um, obviously, if you're looking for jobs, going after the skill set that is in demand is probably a worthwhile thing. You don't have necessarily have the luxury of um, oh, I don't like this one, I'm not going to go with it. But that being said, then if you're interested in making your own apps, then build some stuff. Um, have a go. Have a go with the frameworks and see what you like and what you don't like and reflect back on them. I mean, for me, .NET plus Angular is a a good combination. For others, they're going to go Blazor. They're going to go Blazor server. They're going to go Blazor client. There's all sorts of different options available when you're building a site or building a tool or whatever you're building. Um, well, I've been doing .NET for 20 years, so I chose .NET because back when I was looking at options for building mobile devices in the early 2000s, .NET Compact Framework was around for Windows handheld computers, and I could develop an application for it. So that's why I fell into .NET. I've been looking at options for years, like looking at the language and stuff for a few years before that. But yeah, so I kind of landed in it because I had the opportunity to build some software, and .NET seemed like a reasonable uh, tool for the job. It's evolved a lot in those 20 years. Um, okay. Yes, I did try Rails. I actually used Rails to learn MVC. If I went to your company, things might get set on fire. Um, yeah. So the MVC pattern, when it first launched in .NET, it wasn't very obvious, and I actually used Rails to get my head around some of it because Rails did a was a cleaner implementation. Yeah, actually might still be a cleaner implementation. The only thing I don't like in Rails is when you get to active record and it gets to like a confusing melding of your data and your model and stuff. And that bends my brain a little bit. But um getting into the whole ORM thing with Rails was confusing for me. Okay, we're gonna remove that. We're gonna see if those changes now load the same way. Oh heck no. We should take on static versus dynamic language. Again, I think use the tools that make sense to you. Don't I've played with I mean I've used JavaScript for years. Um I don't think there's necessarily one tool that solves um all the problems. There's always going to be something that um there's, there's always going to be a new tool, a new language, a new framework that comes along that everyone's like, oh, this is the best thing since the last best thing. And then, 6 months from now, there'll be another best thing. And um, I kind of like the comfort of my typed language, my static language. Um, it I like being able to build the application. I like being able to tell that my types don't match. I like all that sort of stuff. But I'm comfortable with it because I've spent a long time in it. I think you've got to spend some time in something, and I think again you're looking at it from a job market perspective. Your options might be more restricted based upon whatever country you're in. That can be a challenge. I do have a lot of luxury in that there are a lot of options here. But again, I don't want to go necessarily beyond um, the languages I've learned because again, I've spent a lot of my career working with .NET, so why would I change that? And that's frustrating as heck because that now, if I leave that console log there, they'll change. Uh, so hold on, if I do if this dot identifier and let's just try that. At least it reads better than console log. If it works, I'm going to live with it for now because it does exactly what I want it to do. If it doesn't work, we'll throw it in the garbage. And it works. So you got to access them to use them. So hold on, let's validate one thing. Does that now work? Or is that still error? No, that error is still. No, it doesn't. Oh, it does. Hit error's bad. Hit error's bad. Oh yeah, that errored real bad. In Rails world, they are promoting the speed of development as the main thing to choose Rails for your case. You can make like an MVP with Angular.net, like first iteration days. I, I would bet that I can make a .NET application with an Angular front end within hours, not days. But that's again, I have a lot of time spent in these tools, so they might not be perfect, but I can get things up and running. This application, it's a big application. It's taken me 10 months, probably 11. I'm probably in month 11 now, of working on this stuff. So I have great familiarity. So, and again, I have everything's easier when you look back on it after you've done it for a while. You're like, oh, that's nice and easy. Um, so speed of development is relative to your understanding, your comfort with the tooling, and you're going to struggle. Yeah. Not sure I haven't just lost part of my room to a dog. And I mean by part, I mean a I know. Hold on. I'll be right back. Sorry about that. It was not. It was her own collar she was chewing up. That's awesome. Salute. 4RJ, I'm afraid I do not speak any other language than English. So I do apologize. I believe that says you've got a small project, but fortunately I can't. If you can put it in English, I can try and answer. More than willing to try. Okay, so we have our changes loading. High school was a long time ago for me, and I took German instead of French. I was bad at German as well, so did you translate it, Mojo, by any chance, or do you speak French? Give me a minute, dog. Okay, let's get this. Not that one. We need this one. Scripts. Views. so much. I do not need to do this as one commit. What I said is that I'm trying to deploy an Angular project to a VM, but it's taking too long. I'm going for more than 80 minutes now. Ah, I gotcha. Trying to deploy an Angular project. Um, that's unusual. I mean, Angular build is normally very fast. I haven't. I don't think I've got anything that I've recently built. Um, is it giving you any status updates? And so maybe normal because I'm freaking out here. I have 2 days to do so much stuff, and this doesn't work. I'll stay stuck. Yeah, but I haven't got anything on this machine that I've done the deployment with, so I can't run it to show you. I've done containerized the Angular sites before, but not on this machine. Thanks about Gigabyte. uh, that would definitely take a while if it's transferring it from your machine up through Azure DevOps. But it has to transfer the node modules. There's no way it's not transferring node modules. It's part of the application, right? It doesn't compile them down. That's a mistaken. Oi, don't be chewing books and making nuisance of yourself. Oh. Joy. Okay. Okay. So I think it's about what the node modules get packaged in the pipeline. I remember saying something about zipping it during build and unzipping during publish. It's been a year since I had to touch it. Yeah. But your logging should show it. That would be my concern is what's the logging doing? Because Angular logging is pretty verbose by default. Yeah. Anyway, okay. I am unfortunately I'm gonna have to finish here. Was Angular the clear choice of .NET developers or React? I've heard it really close to backend like .NET's been. To me, React just didn't make sense. Back when I was looking at Angular for the first time, I was looking at Angular back in 2015 time period when Angular JS was a thing. I'd looked at a lot of different frameworks because they were kind of coming around at that point, right? Oh, ad break. If you're not stuck in ads, you're more than welcome to take it there. Uh, you're more than welcome to join the Discord if you want to and chat as well. Um, I will wait that out. For a quick POC for my school and deadlines in 2 days and 9 hours. Well, I said the Discord is there. The Discord is there for anyone who wants to join, and if you want help with things, if you want to ask questions, you know, um, there are some very knowledgeable people in the Discord, um, and it's a growing community, right? That's what I want to do. Um, but unfortunately, I have to end the stream. I am not Nux guy, so Nux is not something that's in my skill set. T3 Elite, thank you very much for the follow. Yes, Deflux, I must leave you. I would love to get this working. I'm happy this is actually changing. It's good for another 12 hours. Well, yeah. I kind of want a cup of coffee actually. Maybe we'll tell the side. I think it has a I don't know to one or something. Move it to GitHub. Yeah. Yeah, maybe Deflux will return. But yeah, we're gonna raid over to Cyforce One. He's building applications, React applications. I'm about to get eaten by this dog, I think. No, stop crying. No, no, you're noisy. You're noisy. Stop. Give me a second. Okay. So thank you very much for joining me. Thank you for coming and hanging out. It's been a fun stream. This is gonna get more evolved. I'm gonna get these changes showing now that I can trigger them. And yeah, it's coming together. We're getting there. And yeah, so I will see you soon. Take care. Have a great night or a great Sunday. Great rest of your day, and I'll see you again. Bye all.